Welcome to the channel, YouTube. How's everyone today? Another hot as hell day up in the wet tropics. Humid as hell. And in the background, I'm driving away from it. The rain is hitting in those mountains pretty hard, and I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of rain this afternoon, which is a bit of a bugger because I want to go home, do some exercise, head down the beach. But we'll see how it pans out. The one thing, at least not cold, for all those poor folk that have to deal with the cold weather. Absolutely the opposite here. Here, you're sweating bullets all the day. All day, I should say, or every day. So welcome to the channel. This channel I look at mental health in regards to its effect on society, its effect on me, and also the people that I meet on a daily basis. Because I'm a trainer slash teacher, have been for 20 odd years, and I meet a lot of people, and especially at the moment because I work around people in the construction industry, the courses I teach are related to that, so I get to meet a lot of guys, I should say. There are girls, I should say, ladies that work in the construction industry, but mostly it's just guys, and a lot of these guys and ladies, of course, are doing it tough. And especially in 2025, look, it's been flogged to death in regards to inflation, and I'm not a financial advisor, and we just know here in Australia that the figures the government bring out, you can just double them. And I'm guessing that may be the case in other places around the world because it's happening everywhere, including Vietnam. I spent a lot of time working in Vietnam, and it's happening there because I've got friends still located in that country, and they're telling me the same thing. Obviously, it's not as bad as here, but it's still nevertheless affecting, you know, most countries around the world, if not all countries. And again, I'm not an expert, but in Australia, it's really hit hard in the the medical industry, especially the housing is insane, as well as the food. There's more to it. I get that. I'm not here to dissect that and analyze that. It's, like I said, it's been flogged to death 1,000 times by people more knowledged up than I am on inflation and how it works and the mechanics around that. So I'm not going to really get into that and make it a snooze fest. What I'm going to talk about, of course, you know, the topic is today inflation and its effects on your mental health. Because what are you really doing about it? Like, we hear people whinging and moaning and groaning, and we've got a lot of financial gurus out there that are giving their two bobs worth. And I did talk about in one of my videos, cash heavy, and I want to put a message out there because I made a mistake in regards to cash heavy, because I did state Dave Ramsey, which is incorrect. See, I don't edit this stuff, and I think I will need to do that in the future. I'm really sorry about that. I'm limited with time. I know that's slack to say that, and I'll have to get my act together. But in fact, it comes from another channel, which is RCE, and I'm going to put the link below. Great channel, great information, no BS, straight to the point, straight truth bombs. I've watched a bit of his stuff, and I'm very sorry, sir, but I did say Dave, and it was not Dave, it is RCE, and I'll put the link below as I've just stated. And get along and watch his channel, because the stuff, he doesn't fluff around. It's straight to the point. It's hard truth bombs. It's a bit like me. He's a bit old school like I am. And get and watch his stuff. It's fantastic. So sorry about that, sir. Rectified that. So let's move back onto what I was saying. You know, in this country, inflation's a big issue. Excuse me. As I said, it's hot as hell. It's a big problem. And what are you doing about it? How are you coping with that mentally? What strategies are you using, I should say? Because there's a lot of people in this country are doing it tough. I'm talking about Australia here. not other countries like Canada or the States or the UK, for example. In Australia, how about the old folk? How about the pensioners in this country? The articles that are coming out is insane, where pensioners, if they can even afford it, are paying 80% of their income to rent and eating one meal a day. Where did it go wrong? Seriously, we live in a country that exports rocks to other countries, and minerally, Australia is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Yet, pensioners, people who have worked their ass off, done their dues, paid their dues, and cannot afford to eat 3 meals, and are struggling to pay the power bills. It's insane. So what are you doing? What are people doing out there? How are they coping mentally? This is something that's not being spoken about. We've got an election coming up in Australia in May sometime. I heard it was called today. And I haven't heard, well, not that I've read anything yet or got into it, anything about, the mental health system and what politicians are going to do. And I know it won't be much because it's under strain, as it is. It's bent. It's breaking, a breaking point. So what are people doing? What are you doing? Because the rising costs of inflation, okay? The rising costs and stagnant incomes alone are crushing people, okay? You can't buy as much, you're skimping, you're saving money where you can on the quality of food you need to be eating to have a better state of mind, because the research is out there. The quality of food affects your state of mind. So how are these people on low incomes, on government support, government pensions, feeding themselves? You can't be feeding yourself on pasta. Seriously. So these rising costs and stagnant incomes just aren't going up. They're a real problem, okay? And our poor pensioners, the people that are vulnerable, are really suffering. And they don't have the skills. They don't have the skills to be able to cope with that in general, okay? They're not educated up on, mental health strategies. So, these rising costs and stagnant incomes for these folk alone is really tough, okay? And of course, it reduces your purchasing power. It's a flow-on effect, and the quality of food you're going to buy is going to be pretty ordinary. And as a result, you're eating one meal a day in a country that is rich in minerals. So how are you guys coping out there? Shoot me a message. Write a comment, okay? What strategies are you using in order to be able to reduce that, cortisol levels, those high cortisol levels, your adrenaline spikes? What are you doing? It's scary when it's become like that, when people don't have the coping mechanisms. And that's why this channel looks at all the coping mechanisms out there, and more or less the easy and cheap ones, the ones that work. And that's why breath work, exercise, the cheap ones usually, easy ones to access if you can access, if you can exercise. But breath work, I keep going back to that. Get online. I'm not here to sell anything like a breath work course. Get online. There's some great YouTubes out there. And my go-to, of course, is box breathing. Okay? It's simple. It's easy. There are other types of breathing strategies out there, but that is probably one of the most simple ones to do for those who can do it. Because if you don't implement this stuff, this inflation issue is going to send you nuts, literally nuts, okay? And you got to manage that, because you don't want the system to get to you, because inflation is a part of the system. It's quite, in many cases, simple to understand, but then again, on the other hand, it can be quite complex. And I'm not here to explain it. I'm just, here to talk about what are you doing. So breath work, try box breathing. It's very, very important, because going back on inflation, as we know, especially around the world at the moment, big business are really, they're cutting costs. People are losing their jobs. If you have a job loss, I've had job losses before, it's not a great feeling. You have to be prepared for that. And it's like the good times and bad times theory. We've had the good times, now the tough times are hitting. And when the tough times hit, what are your coping mechanisms? What do you have in your bag of tricks? How are you going to cope with that stress? If you lose your job, you're another byproduct of the inflation. That's what inflation does. Companies cut costs. A lot of companies need to cut costs. I get that, but are you one of those people that haven't prepared? And I've covered that before. Gaining additional skills, as a lot of people say, as my old boss used to say, leveling up. You got to level up to earn. And he said that in the 80s. One of my old bosses said to me, "Oh, you need to level up, mate. You need to get some more skills." That's how it was promoted to me back in the mid to late 80s when I started my work-life journey, and it still resonates today. It's very important. Where you can, when you can, is to upskill, to level up. So hopefully, when the bad times come, like they are now, not only do you have a bag of tricks to be able to, to monkey branch into another job, to get something or more suitable, but also you have in your bag of tricks, mental strategies. How are you going to handle your mental health? So this is what inflation does. It causes multiple problems, and if you're not prepared, both financially and, of course, mentally, you're going to do it tough. You really are. And it is how it is. And like I always say, no one's going to save you. People will give you good advice, but do you follow the advice? Most people that listen to YouTube or listen to people with a bit of notoriety, like in a good way, okay, they don't listen to it. Okay, they obviously just consume it and then throw it out the window. And then when the hard times come, the tough times, they start to put up the white flag. And the world doesn't really give a shit. And that's the problem. And it's just the way it is. It's the way it was. And it's the way it will be forever. So you got to be prepared. Inflation's here. Will it come down? Let's hope so. I do not trust politicians with it. Inflation. I mean, politicians, they've never run a business. So how can they run a country? Okay? Mostly it's run backroom dealings with, big organizations. Okay? They're the ones that pull the strings. Anyway, enough. It's a bit of a rant today. And sort of a message to get out there to jump ahead of the crowd, get ahead of the crowd, put in some strategies, look at breath work, look at exercise, so you can manage this tough time. Because like the theory goes, there are good times and there are hard times. And if you've had too many good times, you're going to really suffer with hard times. I've been through it. I know what the hard times are. The hard times are hard, and you've got to get through them. That's the way it is. Anyway, look, I hope that reaches someone or reaches, many. So if you like, please like, subscribe, send the message out, share the message, and hopefully this will sort of, rock someone where they start to make some changes, make some adjustments that will make them a mentally stronger person, because in the end, you want to be mentally strong. Anyway, until the next video, take care, and I do mean that. Get your head in a good space, in a good place, and life will look much rosier. Until next time, peace out.